Welcome on board, everybody, to another episode of This, That, and the Other. Episode 5 brings us today, Blitz is Coming. So Blitz has been a member of the Gridiron Dynasty community since December of 2006. Over 1,960 victories, a winning percentage of 79%. He has 43 conference championships and 5 national championships. And he's also a recent member of that monster conference in Wilkinson, the Big Sky Conference. It's going to be a bloodbath in another year or two. So everybody, welcome. Blitz is coming on board. Welcome.
Hey, thank you. Excited to be here.
Man, I'm glad you took the time to join us today. You know how the show is tailored and the way things go. So we're going to go ahead and get started. If you don't mind, share with us a little bit about who you are, where you're from, things of that nature.
Sure. Well, I'm a Gridiron Dynasty junkie, obviously, but I'm actually from Idaho Falls, Idaho, which is funny because in the Big Sky that I'm in, I'm pretty much in the backyard of JD and Jason, so that's kind of funny. And I'm a commercial real estate broker, and kind of that lends to my nerd on this website.
How did you come up with your name, Blitz?
It's kind of a funny thing. It really wasn't football related. When I joined this site, I was playing an Age of Empires game, Rise of Rome, on the MSN Zone, and my name was Blitziscomin from a Metallica song,
Right.
Can You Survive the Blitzkrieg? And so when I joined this, I thought, I'm just going to, I'll just get rid of the Blitzkrieg and go for Blitz. And then I went and played a bunch of the NFL on the site.
Well, it's working, that's for sure, because I know you've got a reputation out there for your defenses that blitz quite a bit. What do you like best about Gridiron Dynasty?
I actually think I like the quick turnover in the seasons. I played a lot of Hardball Dynasty before this, and I like that if you have a bad recruiting class or you screw something up, all your pain is gone in a couple months. Where in the Hardball Dynasty, you live with your mistakes for quite a while.
Good point. Hadn't thought about it that way. How much longer do you plan to play GD, or do you have an idea?
I've turned into one of those guys where probably the last 15 seasons of Oklahoma, I said I was going to quit the game and leave forever. But I just kept. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like an addiction for me. I played it for so long, and so I think now at the Big Sky, I'll see it through at least another 15, 20 seasons.
An opportunity like the Big Sky setup that's happening in Wilkinson, that's definitely outside the norm, and it's something that would reinvigorate one's Gridiron Dynasty soul to keep going. So I can understand why you're not hanging up the coaching cleats.
I'm excited that Nitros pulled it off.
And it's amazing that it was done so quickly.
Yeah. We had talked a little bit about it, if we should go to an empty world and like play at a D1A, and then when Nitros just started putting out the invitations and Schooley and JD joined, I decided I'm in.
Well, this is kind of a segue into our question that you have coming up next year, and that is, would you be likely to attend an annual What If sports gathering somewhere, such as, New Orleans? Well, maybe not right now because of the situation,
Right.
But New Orleans, St. Louis, somewhere where a bunch of guys and gals can get together and have a What If sports party.
I would, and I've actually thought about this a little bit. I think the perfect place would be a Vegas event during either the Final Four or bowl season, something sports related where we could all show up, hang out. I would be for that.
That sounds very interesting, and actually it's got my interest now, so I may be into something like that as well. Don't go away. Come back and join us right after this break. You're listening to Magic on This, That, and the Other.
Is this yours? Your mother found it in the bathroom. Care to explain to me what it's doing there?
One of my bros must...
Must have what?
Dad, look,
Who taught you how to do this? Answer me!
You! I learned it from you, all right?
That's my boy. Remember, son, you look after your balls. They will thank you.
Make your pops proud. Head over to manscaped.com and get yourself the Lawnmower 2.0. And for a limited time, get free shipping and a free shared travel bag. Manscaped, we save balls.
Children out of control? Is it wine o'clock yet? Then why not try out wine goggles? Wine goggles improve the performance of even the most mediocre supermarket Chardonnay or Merlot. Wear them while you drink and make everything look that little bit better. Available from all good opticians and some bad ones too. Warning: this product may not improve your eyesight. Not recommended as part of a calorie-controlled diet. Do not operate heavy machinery while wearing wine goggles.
Glad you came back to join us, folks. We're here today with Blitziscomin on episode 5 of This, That, and the Other. And his next question is, if you're planning to be at a school for an extended period, do you change your formations, offense and defense, based on the recruit positions available near your school? Because we know that some locations tend to have better quality recruits of one position or another. So do you change your formations based on the recruit availability in your location?
Yes and no. I always choose the formations that I know I can win with. And so sometimes when I look at a school, I will try something a little bit more unique. Say if there's a lot of wide receivers on their roster currently, maybe try trips or shotgun. But for the most part, I always run 3-4, and I like to stick with either the I form or pro set. I'm pretty boring with my formations. Other than that world that you and I were both in, I had a really crazy one. Was that Heisman? D2?
Yeah, down at the Gulf South Conference, I think it was.
There I did the shotgun and trips, and it was pretty good.
Yeah, your team could have had the marching band on and stomped me out. I could not get anything going there.
That was crazy.
How much time do you spend on scouting each opponent that you face?
Most of the time I've spent on this game has been in Wilkinson, and so I know those coaches very well. And so it's like a season-to-season basis. So I have a specific game plan I use for Jason Freeman that I've used for a while. I have a specific game plan I use for Lions fan, clear back from the time that he was at Colorado. I've been working on a game plan for Nitros, and it's just as I get to know coach's tendencies, I will design something that I think can be competitive against them.
Let's go to the defensive side of the ball specifically. Other than down and distance, what else factors in you deciding whether to use your short, medium, or long defense?
The coach. I've actually spent a lot more time game planning for defense than offense. And so I run probably more defensive formations, meaning I design custom formations within the 3-4 against human head coaches. I'm pretty confident I run more formations than anybody else. And it's just to stop what I think different coaches are trying to accomplish. So my defense is, I've tracked them on a spreadsheet. My defenses usually have the most blitzes and the most interceptions against human opponents than anybody else. And that's across all worlds for an extended period of time. I'm kind of a defensive junkie.
Well, it's funny you mentioned keeping track of them on a spreadsheet because that's our next question. How do you keep track of your team? Do you use a spreadsheet or some other software or the old pen and paper?
So the old pen and paper I use a lot for recruiting, but I tracked my defenses against human top 25 D1A opponents across all schools, and I had kept that for quite a while, so I knew that my defense could average 20 points a game, and I could create enough turnovers and special teams touchdowns to provide 10 points. And that's over like 25, 30 seasons. So I knew pretty much my offenses only needed to come up with a couple touchdowns, which is good because my offenses usually suck.
Well, you sure did rack up some points on me, so they didn't suck too bad. Thanks again. Great segment there. We're going to go ahead and take another quick break. Don't go away.
He can't stay home without Mummy, so I send my pussy to Sophisticat in Moorabbin. He gets his own spacious suite and personalised care and grooming, which is important, as he's a rather hairy cat.
Sophisticat. Ask about special rates for new customers. Call 9555 1986 or check out sophisticat.com.au.
Sophisticat. It's not a cattery, it's a pussycat resort. Really?
Do you have a small beaver? Or maybe a big beaver? If you're a beaver owner, you'll know that there's nothing worse than an unruly or unkempt beaver. But with new Beaver Retriever, you can be assured of total beaver control.
Beaver Retriever. Make your beaver come when you want.
Ah, good beaver. You love being stroked, don't you?
Thanks for coming back, everybody. We're with Blitz is Coming, and he's in his third segment of today's episode. And the next question that he has is really not a question. This item is on the question list, but it's a question for me. It's a question that we call Spin the Mic. Blitz is Coming gets to ask me a question.
All right. So my question is, you replaced me at Oklahoma in Wilkinson, and you just dropped Oklahoma. You're looking for a home, and I'm wondering what's your game plan for this upcoming season in Wilkinson? Where do you think you're going to end up?
Actually, good question. MEAC is doing the Big Sky East. As many who keep up with the boards are aware, essentially there's a Big Sky Part 2 that was put together in MEAC. I did not renew Oklahoma because I was certain I would get into that conference. I had actually put in for, I believe it was Hampton and Duquesne. And after lunch today, I went to see which one of those two I received. Lo and behold, neither. So they slammed the door shut on me, did the Gridiron Dynasty gods, and apparently I'm not good enough for that conference. So, right now I'm a vagabond looking for a home, and Oklahoma was already snatched up, which I imagined would happen quickly. But I was so certain to get into the MEAC that I did not renew Oklahoma. So, yeah, I'm a homeless coach right now.
That's crazy. Well, hopefully we can find a good home.
We'll see what comes up. Good question. All right. Any tips on isolating your target wide receiver against a defense to get him the most looks or catches?
So I think this is where a lot of coaches fail in the game, is they don't experiment enough with this. I get a lot of site mails about this. And I'm in a conference with a couple legends that do it, Nitros and Lions fans. Schoolie's really good. And so really, I think the biggest thing in learning how to ISO is trial and error. If you are in a game that you know that you're going to lose, start tinkering around with putting different receivers at different depths, and just on a piece of paper, write down who the defender is that covers them and start tinkering with that to try to get the matchups you want. And I feel like as you learn how to do that, you'll become a pretty good offensive coach, because the passing games in Gridiron Dynasty, it's big time geared towards learning how to isolate different defenders in different depths.
Well, you just mentioned putting down on paper who's covering the particular wide receivers. Many of us know how to find that information, but for some of the new coaches out there, just want to touch on the expanded play-by-play.
Yeah, and so the expanded play-by-play, I look at that a lot, and the expanded play-by-play pretty much tells you everything as to the progression that the quarterback's looking at for the receivers, who he looks at first, second, third, and which defender is on it. So you can pretty much learn, for instance, the wide receivers, the cornerbacks go with them often. And then if you switch depths, you can see that sometimes the safeties cover all of the deep patterns. And so as you start to tweak with things, you look at your expanded play-by-play. And sometimes in the expanded play-by-play, it'll give you the holy grail of so-and-so was wide open, but your QB didn't see him. And I use that actually as like a great thing of like, okay, there's something I did there. I need to duplicate that a lot. And so I've actually had a formation. I don't keep the numbers on it anymore, and I don't run the formation a lot, but I had a formation for a good 25, 30 seasons that was a deep, long ISO, and I could get a touchdown 1 out of 12 times I ran it. And so I didn't have a high completion percentage, but if I could run that 12 times in a game, I knew I could get a touchdown. And that wasn't against Sims. Like, that was against the best of the best, the Wilkinson elites. And so, I feel like every coach should learn how to have some good ISO plays of who their favorite target is and how to build a formation and a playbook to isolate that their strength against an opponent's weakness.
Good information, especially, like I said, for those young coaches who are still trying to learn.
Yeah.
One of these days, if they stick with it long enough, they're going to have that memorable what-if sports moment, and in this case, the Gridiron Dynasty moment. What is yours? What is that one moment that you cannot get out of your mind, whether good or bad?
So mine is actually a bad. It was in Bryant. I had a good rivalry going with BK Dries in several worlds. He was at Texas while I was at Oklahoma and Wilkinson. When I was at Texas Tech in Bryant, he was at Nebraska, and then he was at Penn State while I was at Temple in Lehigh. So basically, I was at Texas Tech in Bryant. I had beat Texas, and I had beat Oklahoma, and I had beat Nebraska in the regular season. I was ranked number 2. I had to beat BK in the conference championship to make the national championship game. And I kid you not, he beat me by a last-second Hail Mary. Long pass. I will never get over that because I didn't make the national championship game. And it is so hard to beat all of those elites from Texas Tech. And so I will never get over that one. I was so angry. Like, for a few seasons when I was at Oklahoma, I tormented him at Texas in recruiting so bad. I was convinced I was going to give him a whole class of Sims because I was so pissed off. And I'll never get over that. That was a long time ago, and I'm still mad.
And that's why we asked the question. Blitz, it's been a pleasure having you on today. Definitely enjoyed it. I look forward to working something out with the Big Sky Conference. Before we go, any parting words for the listening audience?
No, I just think you're doing a great thing for Gridiron Dynasty, and I appreciate you putting in the time doing the podcast, and I hope everybody enjoys it, and everybody be more active in the forums and in chat and make the community a better place.
I agree, and I do enjoy this, so hopefully we'll be able to do it for quite some time to come. Come back for episode 6 when our guest is Dog Nuts, who will be answering these 10 questions. What are those numbers, Blitz?
2, 7, 11, 15, 18, and then let's go 22, 27, 33, 38, and 41.
All right. Those are the 10 that Dog Nuts will be matched up with on the randomizer that picks the questions for him for the next episode. Come back and join us next time. This is Magic, and you've been listening to This, That, and the Other.